Hey, this is Majinoni, and let's get down to some comic reviews. We have The Movement, number 1. Now, this is one of these issues where I can say that potentially this could actually be good, but on the other hand, you can definitely tell it's kind of preachy at the same time. And I'm not faulting it for its preachiness because I know that's the point, especially since there's the other version that's coming out with the billionaire teenagers type thing. So I get that. But anyways, what we have is we have a city that's full of corruption and evil, and there's just a bunch of kids who are basically, they got some superpowers. They have, it's like a huge movement, so to speak. So there's several of them, and they're videotaping things. They're aware of what's going on, and there's a bad guy in a church, and basically they're used. This is just an issue for setting up. This is the movement, and this is what their mission is. This is their territory, and then the police aren't welcome there because they're corrupt. And I'll be honest, I'm not too sure if how many of these issues I'm gonna get. I just thought that this one was potentially interesting. I thought I'd give it a try, but after reading it, I'm not sure if this is going to be something that I'm going to continue reading. It's definitely not a top tier book, but I think in terms of the art, I think the art's decent. The storytelling is decent. Gail Simone does a really good job, and she's probably one of the best writers that are on DC staff, and she does a decent job. It's just not what I would consider a top tier book, but I think a lot of you guys out there who are looking for something, might find that this is a decent read. Okay. Oops. Next up is Thanos Rising. Now, in this issue here, what we find out is Thanos is a really evil person, and he's looking for something. And unlike using Wikipedia or YouTube to find whatever he's looking for, he's basically killing things, and this girl is basically guiding him on this journey to go from lizards to apes to eventually humans, and Thanos eventually becomes the first Titan to commit murder. And I guess you can say it's a very interesting background, but at the same time, it's one of those things that I don't think we really needed. I think Thanos fans, personally, I'm liking it just because it does fill in a little bit of extra, but there's a part of me that also is thinking, you're really ruining the mystique of Thanos and his essence as a child type thing. But, I'm always a stickler for extra stuff, so I don't mind it as much. The ending is kind of shocking, but I think overall it was it's a decent read, I thought. Okay, Age of Ultron number 7. Okay, this to me was what I would consider a letdown issue, but I'll be honest with you, when I first saw what this was going to basically happen, I didn't give it much points into thinking that this was actually going to be good, because, really, look at this cover. Just looking at this cast of characters, does it give you any indication that what you're looking at is going to be something interesting? No, because we've seen variations of this kind of stuff before, and it's not like wow. And that's why I really didn't put much stock into it being great. Now, Wolverine and Storm come back after killing Pym, and what they do is they discover this world where, as you can see, it looks like the Avengers are now the Defenders, and the Kree-Skrull War actually landed on Earth, and there was battling there, and it looks like the Skrull invasion part is still heavy in the population, because people are questioning whether or not they're Skrulls or not. And there's definitely, it looks like there's some sort of friction between like Captain America and Iron Man, where Iron Man's definitely like the top dog in charge. And I don't know, this is one of these cases where I really want to jump on board. I really want to like it, but it's hard for me to fall behind when it's like they just threw some characters together and they didn't make me want to care about this. I mean, granted, would I like to see what happened in the Kree Skrull War? Sure, I would love to see that, especially since you didn't have Goliath and Vision, who were key in that battle. And without that, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, this part doesn't matter. And of course, the thing that doesn't make any sense is the fact that you have a Wolverine on the other side, while everybody knows, or everybody's like, what happened to Sue? Oh, there's Sue. Are you Sue? So it's like, shouldn't, in theory, Wolverine have also been missing? Or is it Marvel that desperate that they have to put Wolverine in everything? So they had to put him in the Age of Ultron Defenders, so this way, sell more books. I don't know. Now, what I really want to know is, I just want to get past this. Because, and the other thing too, when you think about it, this is not the future. By the time we get out of Age of Ultron, we are not seeing a Captain America looking like that. We're not going to see a Cyclops with one eye. We're not going to see Star-Lord suddenly looking retro and part of the Defenders. None of that's going to happen. The Hulk and thing are not going to be all battered. So I'm like, please. It is possible the Wasp might have that costume, but other than that, we're not going to see those kinds of changes. So it's like, this to me is just a stepping stone to what I really need to get to. And the sooner we can get through this part, the better. But I thought, the art was decent, and the story was just average. Okay, All New X-Men number 11. This was actually really well written, and it was the art. XMen did a fantastic job with the art. The parts that really did really hit home for me in terms of the writing was at the very beginning, where you had Warren just going, "I'm out of here. You guys are completely nuts." And as strange as this may sound, I like the other side, Scott, better. He makes more sense to me. My life in this future is totally jacked up, and I don't want that life. I want something different for myself. And you have like Jean Grey trying to keep him there against his will. You have the Kookaroos attacking Jean Grey, and it's just the little snippets between everybody during this time period is really, I thought, was very strong, and it was a really standout. Also, the way the panels were, the facial expressions, all that stuff was really well done. And the one thing I don't get is this. Wolverine is part of the Avengers. And they show these things where, if you remember before, Lady Mastermind is having Wolverine lead the X-Men in these terrorist type attacks. But yet at the very end, Wolverine's like, you better stand... I mean, not Wolverine, Captain America's like, you better stand down. And I'm like, wait a second. You know Wolverine, and why are you acting that way? I understand Wolverine has this amazing ability to clone himself into 100 different characters, but you would think, with everything that's going on, he could be accountable, to be somewhere other than where Mystique and her Brotherhood are attacking. And it just, I'm like, that's the bad part to this. But other than that, this was a solid read, and I really enjoyed it. Bendis is doing a great job with the X-Men, and XMen is doing a fantastic job with the art, so I hope they keep it up. Okay, now before I get into Spider-Man 3, how many of you bought your Iron Man 3 tickets? I got my ticket. I am going to a dinner theater, and there was like only 4 people during a prime time. So, I know it's going to fill up, but because the dinner theaters have reserved seating, nobody's reserving it quickly. And I think it's also in an area where it's not heavily populated by like high school teenagers, so they just casually just go in there and get the reservations. Heck, The Hobbit didn't have that many people pre-register for their tickets either, but by the time we got there for the show, it was sold out. But anyways, let's get on with this issue. Slott is not going to make any fans at all with this. What we have is a battle of the mind between, actually not even the mind, it's more of the memories, between Peter Parker and Doc Ock. They both try to get the upper hand, and I thought there was some strong moments in it, especially with Peter Parker summons his friends, saying, "This is what gives me strength," and then Doc Ock summons Peter Parker's enemies and says, "Well, those are your fears." And every time one of his family members gets killed by, like, one of the villains, he loses the memory. So, like, for an example, you had Captain Stacy getting killed, and then suddenly he forgets who Captain Stacy is. And I thought that was, like, a really nice touch. And then, eventually Peter Parker's like, "Well, I'm the Amazing Spider-Man." And they battle it out, and Doc Ock is like, "Well, I'm the superior Spider-Man." And they battle it out. And this is the part where we're going to have some spoilage. At the very end, all of Peter's memories start crumbling and disappearing, and he even forgets who he is. And what's going to piss everybody off is we don't know who won. We can all speculate that it was Doc Ock. But the way it ended with him saying, "And he's gone, and I am free." Who's gone? Personally, I think Peter's gone, and I think Doc is the clear victor in this matter. And in a way, this makes sense with what they're doing, later on in the series, where, they're trying to figure out, is that really Peter or not? Or is it Doc Ock? And this is the other critical part. Doc Ock now, if he is in charge and Peter's gone, all of Peter's memories are gone. That means he can't access that information. So there's now opportunities where people can figure out that that's not really Peter. And in a way, this is what you can say is Doc Ock's fatal error. But Peter's gone, I think. And I was sat down here going, okay, this is it. Peter Parker's going to win, and life is going to go get good. We get Peter back, and he's gone. I think he's gone. And this is the one case I don't know what to think about this completely, because I don't know what the outcome is. I think my rage is going to come next issue when I find out it's Doc Ock, because I don't know if and when Peter's going to come back now. But of course, I think they can always bring him back later on down the road. But I really do enjoy Doc Ock as Spider-Man, because he's such an evil hero. But other than that, I think this is a top-notch book. It's just, it's an ending where you just want to go. Anyways, that's it for today, I think, for this series of reviews. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Like the video. Rate it up or down. Like the Facebook link. Oh, and I forgot to give you your comic. Let's give you this. Like that Facebook link that's right there. That last letter could be a P. It might be a P. But what I'll also do for you is this. In case you can't figure that out, which I know people are just going to be putting in a bunch of letters. So while somebody's putting in a bunch of letters, here's this. Alright, if you have any other comments or questions, let me know. I have another review for some independents also. And until next time.